Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how I built this lovely little layout. So let's get into the video, shall we? I think I can build layout on this tiny little table. Well, it's actually a shelf out of a Calyx unit from IKEA that I didn't use. Now I'm going to use it as a baseboard, so technically it's chipboard and it's about 12mm thick. So for me, you can see that Loco there is not having many issues. That's a roll of tape to give you an idea of how tight it's going around the corner. I'm not entirely sure what its minimum is. I think I'll be pushing it, but going forwards, yeah, she seems pretty happy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slap a load of track on this board with some Lego, and I'm gonna make a little layout. I'm just winging this, so I'm getting a feel for what the radius is, and let's build layout, shall we? I'm just gonna make this up on the fly, and we'll see what we get. Okay guys, I'm back a few hours later. Now I'm just messing around with this track. I'm having quite a bit of fun doing this actually. I'm trying to ram as much as I can in the footprint of this board. But what I'm doing, I've already done this one, is join the track. So this is all flexi track, so you can just do what you want with it. Now I've got two pieces here. I'm thinking I'm going to be putting a little bridge here. But what I need to do is join the two bits of track together. So what I'm going to do, it's not terribly difficult. I'm just going to solder the two bits of track together. I'm going to do the outside edge of it first, so that basically we won't get any issues with the power on the track. But I'll show you what we've got so far whilst the soldering iron's heating up. Should go under a tunnel, bridge. And that'll go over the bridge. I need to clean the track and things, but it seems actually quite happy doing this. But I'm aiming just to basically make the thing go this way all the time. Probably around this sort of speed. So yeah, I'll show you the soldering of the track. Show you the soldering of the track, and then I'm just going to continue to lay track, and then I'll show you the whole layout once it's done. Okay, so this is the track. We're going to join these two pieces. There's no exact science here. I'm sure there actually is, but I'm not going to be using it. I've not even cleaned the track because I'm just having fun. So the idea is, if I don't catch it, you've got your Fisher plates on, and you're just in the outside edge of your track. I've got this set at 450 degrees Celsius. And you're holding the soldering iron on until the solder flows nicely through that Fisher plate. I'm quite lucky here how the sleepers aren't close to the edge. That's just how this track is. It's kind of old school track. It's had it. And that's it basically. It's not the neatest, as you can see, but it's definitely going to hold. The beauty of doing this as well is that sometimes you'll get a gap between the track. Now the solder will fill that, and that's the other one done, just like that. I'm doing this as a go, And basically I'm feeding in, you can see how the bit of solder at the back, they're just filled in that little void. Not a lot, but I can come back over that. I'm doing this as I go. These are pretty destined for the bin bits of track. You can see they're not in the greatest of shapes. I can go around adding sleepers at the end. In fact, Austria, this bit of the track, look, I've got one join there, and I've got one join there, so they're staggered, so it doesn't go click click and the whole thing just jumps. It'll do one side then the other, but up here they're staggered slightly. The next thing is I'm going to use a file, whereas you probably want to use something a bit finer, maybe 600 grit, wet and dry, and then you want to polish that out with like 2000 grit. I'm just going to go in with the file because I'm hardcore, you know. But I'm just showing you, like, I'm just slapping this thing together. I know I can get away with. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. Well, it's not. It's looking like a mashed Lego with Engage, but it will look good. I know it will. The important thing for me is to keep trying the train, make sure the train's happy going around these sort of inclines, because they are pretty steep, as you can see. You just want to make it as even as you can. The radius has changed. This one here is quite tight, and then it's quite wide as it's coming up, and then it gets a little bit tighter and consistent. It'll go straight, and then what I want to do, because there's a bridge going to go here, I think, is then come off here, and we'll be going down and down and down, all the way back around to here. I think this downward loop is probably going to be steeper than this. So the train will go one way around the track, but probably not the other way. But we'll see. Might go better the other way around. Who knows? So I'm just having fun, guys. I've just put a positive and negative on the track, and then I've glued this down so it ain't going nowhere. So just so you know, that's where the magic's happening. I suspect, yeah, it's tiny little layout. This wire is actually just USB lead wire. Like what goes to your keyboard on your PC. Probably want to use something a bit thicker than that. I'm going to try this. It should work just dandy. So there's our little roller coaster. Well, I thought I'd try different trains, and it turns out that Steam Loco isn't the only one that can do this track. I'm going to try a Class 8 in a minute, a pull type. But this, I think it's Class 3. It's not struggling at all. Which is great, because actually I've got a few Locos that can do this track. Okay, I am genuinely shocked. There's a Class 8 there. Pull type. He's happy. The next thing is obviously to build up like the little hills and things, but what I need to do now, because I've just levitated the track, is I'm going to put some cardboard underneath the track in all the places that I can. The reason I'm putting something under the track like this is so that the ballast doesn't just sort of fall through to a nothing space. I have to have something under the track. So I build layouts very differently to other people from what I've seen. So I shall carry on, and I'll see you in a minute once I've done all this boring card work. Okay, so I haven't done it all yet, but I got to an interesting point, so I wanted to show you. So I'm just doing this paper here. I'm working my way up. Now, grab your biggest wagon, and what I've got here is the bridge, effectively here. Okay, so what you want to do is, if you want clearance on things, can you see how the middle of the carriage there is the biggest bit to overhang, in my case? So what I will do is I will hold a pencil along the side of the carriage, and it's quite tricky, but you basically, I've got all sorts going on here at the minute. I've got a light that's too low. There we go, get out of my way. Okay, so back on track, literally. This is very difficult with one hand. So you basically run the pencil down the side of the carriage, like so, and work your way around. Preferably using two hands, but you can see what I've done, right? So that basically is a nice safety margin there, so I can get rid of all of that. I did the same on this side. It's not a very good cut at the moment. I'll sort that out in a minute. But yeah, I'm going to cut that nice and round. And then the bridge is going to be effectively something like from like here to probably here. It's a curved bridge, which you probably don't get many of. But yeah, there you go. That's that one. I wanted to show you that because I thought it was a bit handy to know. I've gone ahead and I've super glued all the underside of the track. We've got the Loco. Now I've worked out the Loco is the highest thing that we're going to be having on the track. So it's going to be coming up its little hill between these two tracks, which are very not realistic. But I need to do a tunnel entrance here. There we go, see? Okay guys, so this is what I've come up with. It still hasn't been finished on the inside here, but I've let it dry like 24 hours and we have got cracks. Now I had a suspicion this might have happened, but I got a bit carried away. I started on above the tunnel there with the brickwork or the rocky face, and it's cracked in certain places, which isn't cool, unfortunately. So I'm going to get some PVA. I'll probably do a 2-to-1 mix of water and glue, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so got the idea as well. I'm going to put some brown paint in with the glue and the water mix. So this is just a brown that I want as like an earth colour. I'm going to paint the whole lot with this. given the whole thing a second coat of PVA and paint mix, and what I quite like is the random sort of colouring that it gives. You can see it's all patchy, which is quite cool. But we're going to tackle this next, guys, that little tunnel. So I'll get some balsa wood and we'll have a go at making that. Got some scraps of balsa wood. I'm going to basically cut. I've got some chunky stuff here. That's 1/8 thick, that is. 1/8. So what's that? Roughly 3mm thick, something like that. Something like 4cm long pieces would do it. I've got 3 strips there. Slice them so they're basically little, they're oversized matchsticks. In fact, you could probably use matchsticks, I just haven't got any. This bit here I want to make into a retaining wall because it just makes a bit of sense. Okay guys, you saw the spraying, and this is what we're left with. This is kind of like the grey that I'm after. So I'm going to show you a little thing here. I've got white paint, and then basically get as much off it as you can, within reason. And then what I've been doing is it's like dry brushing, so you're just gently brushing the high edges of the rock. Now you're not going to see this, but just take my word for it, it makes quite a difference. Just gently going on it. Acrylic paint somewhat blends in quite nicely to itself. So you're not going to see this, but you will see it in a second. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. So basically this is just showing all the high areas of the rock. White paint on a dark grey stone. You probably want to practice on something else. So I'm just deeming this layout as a massive model kit. That's really not doing it justice. So I'm going to turn the light this way. Now I've done the whole thing. Oh well, you see the upper one over there, and I've done all of this. Can you see how the white paint shows the high of the rock? Yep. And then down here as well. Okay guys, right, I've put a second coat of paint on. It's not hiding every single thing, but it's more than good enough for what I'm trying to achieve here, I believe. So, the next thing for me is I'm going to show you this mud thing now. Right, so, I've literally got mud in a flower pot just for authenticity. Now, I went into the garden and I sieved mud, and that's what we got. They have sort of like grains of it, but you can pinch it and it'll go a bit finer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to PVA glue this area. So put some PVA glue in our little pot. This pot has been pretty handy so far. And then what I'm using is a hard bristle brush, and it's just a bit moist from where I just washed it, so I just dried it out with a bit of tissue. So I'm just going to glue where I want the mud. That's fairly straightforward. Now the mud. I'm going to put my tray underneath the layout here. I'm just scattering it around. There's nothing too extraordinary. So I'm going to do the rest of the board like this, and then you'll see what I do next. Okay, so we're back. Now, what I've done here is I've mixed together 1 part PVA, 2 parts water, and then 2 drops of fairy liquid, and this is what you got. Now I'm using fairy liquid to break the surface tension of the glue. So with a pipette, I like doing it this way. Everyone's got their own little way. You just soak it in. So what I like to do whilst it's at this stage is actually scatter some more mud on the top. This is what I did on the other piece. Not a lot, just enough. Just chuck it in there. So that's the mud. We are going to let this dry. Okay guys, so here it is, it's all mudded up. I've still got to wait for it to dry and some of the bubbles to go off, but that's what we've got now. Okay, I've actually got some little stones from the garden as well, and I've just dotted them around in sort of weird ass places. So we're starting to get a bit of colour now into the layout, even though it's sort of browns and blacks and dark colours. It should get a little bit brighter, hopefully. Station over here, it's all going off, it's all drying. It looks like soggy mud because it is, but when it dries out it'll go a bit more like this, a bit sort of drier looking. So that's the station. So actually what happened is with the station, I was spraying the track and I just got a bit of overspray on the platform, so I just dusted it. And actually I don't dislike how it is. It actually looks like a weathered station platform. Well, in my eyes, I know, it's all personal preference. I quite like it like that. It's going to be interesting to put the ballast on the track because I think that's going to really change the whole aesthetic of the thing, because it does look all quite dark and dingy at the minute, which I don't mind. But we'll see. I'll just keep going. I've got to let this dry now. I'll give it a couple of hours and then we'll return. You see like the mud there on the retaining wall. I've just sort of chucked it against it. What else have we got? So I'm still umming and ahhing about trees. Okay, so I've actually tried to make my own, so bear with me. It's alright, but it's just not gonna cut it, I'm afraid. I've tried static grass. Before I tried the static grass, it actually didn't look too bad, so I might revisit that. But yeah, it's kind of badly decorated Christmas tree, should we call it? So that's a no at the minute. The thing is somewhat dry now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what I do. And I won't show you the whole lot. But in short, I'm literally being very careful. I'm doing this whole layout arse about face. I do realise this. Okay, so a lot of people would maybe, do the ballast first and then do other stuff. Well, this is me finding the best way that works for me. And the middle of the track's going to be just fine, just like this. I'm a little bit worried about the outer edge, but we'll come to that when we get to it. So I'm going to basically do this for most of the track, at least on the front edge of it here. And then I'm going to try and do the edges. So I'll put this on a little bit of a time lapse because I'm learning as I'm going. I've done double O with this ballast, but this is what I'm going to use. It looks pretty good like that, doesn't it? Like a nice pile of aggregate. It just looks way out of place on this layout though, this being this bright. So, but I think I've got a trick up my sleeve for that. I'm just going to fill up the middle in a sensible amount. I'm going to do a little bit here and just show you what I'm going to be going through. So I'm going to go around this and we'll come back in a minute and I'll show you how I glue it. Okay, so what I've done, it's quite a watery mix this. It's like 3 parts water, 1 part PVA and a bit more fairy liquid than we did have. And now I've done this tunnel area here just to show you what I'm going to do. And it's literally, I'm going to go to the centre of the track. You've got to make sure there's no ballast on them sleepers. And I'm not going to go any further than that. I think I've only done this little bit for the time being. Some people will spray this ballast. And this is it, guys. This is how you hold the ballast down. You see it goes right into the, let's call it a cat litter, the ballast. I'm trying to be very careful not to disturb where the ballast is. You could very carefully, you could very easily knock it by accident. it's far easier to make all this ballast in the place that you want it when it's dry. If you try and move it around when it's wet, it's a nightmare. So that's pretty much where we want it. Oop. So we just got to let that dry. Now I'm going to continue doing the rest of the track. I'm hoping you saw that okay. And I'll show you. I just did a bit sort of in there. So that's what we're going to end up with all over the track. So I'm going to make a mess everywhere now. I just wanted to show that a little bit. Now I'm just going to crack on with the rest of the layout and we'll have a look when I've done it. Okay, so I am continuing doing this. I just wanted to show you a neat little trick I've just picked up. Now I was worried about these side pieces because obviously I've got stuff everywhere. Now what I'm going to do is I've got this bit of wood, this bit of balsa, and I'm just putting it roughly where I want the ballast and running the ballast down the side of the wood. So it should give me a relatively nice line of ballast. And then on to the next bit. And I will go back and just, you know, get the little stragglers. It's not got to be dead perfect because ballast isn't, and plus I've still got to put the grass on yet. So just to give a hint of the side of the track, I just wanted to show you that because I thought it was quite a neat little fix to the issue I was having. And also I use a tiny little brush to like here. There's a couple on the sleepers, so I'll just brush them out of the way and fan it out a little bit. You might have seen some loose dirt earlier. Well, I'm not overly worried about that because I'm just about to put more glue on the whole lot. And then when we do the grass, they'll be putting glue on it again. So the whole lot's going to be getting glued up. So, yeah, let's continue. So that's all the ballasting done. That's taken ages. Now, whilst it's still sort of going off, I've begun to do something else because it was far too bright for my liking. So I've started dulling it down a little bit. So I don't know if you can see this versus the top rail. And all it is the same water PVA mix, except I've just put some black acrylic paint with it. Don't need a lot. Says me chucking it on there. And you'll see it works its way through the bricks, the rocks, the ballast. So even though I just absolutely nailed that on the track then, it's just enough to give it subtle hints of weathering. Okay guys, it's the next day. So what I'm going to do here, you can probably just see it in the corner. I'm going to show you how I do static grass. I'm still learning, but I'm going to do the whole layout like this. So it's going to convert our brown desolate with interesting details layout into a green lush, hopefully, layout. Now what I've got is again, PVA glue with a bit of water, and this is about 2 to 1. You can see the viscosity there, it's not super fluid. And I've put in a couple of drops of fairy liquid again, just so that it'll help break surface tension of the glue. Now what I'm going to do is put this where I want grass. So we've got all our glue in that area, and what I've got here are 2mm grass in this little pot here. Now there's a ground lead. Don't worry about this too much. I'll show you this a bit later on. But you have to attach this grounding lead to part of the track. Now I'm leaving the end exposed, and I'm going to just attach it literally to the track. In fact, I'll do this on camera, so hopefully you can see this. Let's just put it sort of down there out of the way. Now there's a button on the side of this, it's got 2 AA batteries, this applicator. I'm going to press that and you'll hear a noise. And I'm hovering it above the ground, just moving it around over the ground. A little bit of a shake, 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 shake. And what it does, you see, is it makes the grass stand up on end. So what I'm going to do, now watch this clip, I have to ground the cage. So it's discharged now, and I have to remove it from the track. You put it to one side. Quite horrible noise, and that if that shorts on you, you feel it. I've learnt not to do that. So, I will go get the hoover. Because there's still some static grass that I can't really remove unless I sort of suck it off the track. So a hoover is kind of a must, really, I would say, to get a good result. There's better glues to use other than PVA glue, but I find that's what works. So that's that piece. That's that piece. And you can see, so you can see some of this is a close-up of it. It's come out pretty good. I mean, it looks like carpet actually. I quite like that one. So that's not actually glued down, that's just excess, but statically it's just charged to the track, so I have to suck it up with the hoover. I don't want to get any glue on that just yet. I like how the mud's coming through on these little bits here. Looks pretty good actually. It's like nice, well kept lawn. So I'll continue. I'm gonna go get the hoover and I'll just suck up the extra, and then I'll video it again. See, it's gone down in there as well. So that's where we don't want it. So I'm gonna do little bits and then do some more, and then we'll do a little bit and then hoover the excess, and do a little bit and then hoover the excess. That's the idea. Okay, so here's where we're at the minute, and that's all 2mm grass. What I'm gonna do is just variate it up a little bit. You can see I quite like how the ground isn't even in the middle there. I do like that. We're going to make this not so look like, I'm going to make it look like it's not just been mowed. So what I'm going to do, I've now got 6mm long grass, which is a slightly darker shade of green. So I'm going to dot that around in strategic places and see how we get on with that actually. So this is before, and we'll give that stuff a go. Wow, that's better. There we go. So that's a bit of 6mm scattered around, and it adds variation of colour and it darkens it down a little bit, and you can see hopefully how it's a bit longer around the rock. That's exactly what I was after. So what I'll do is I'm gonna do some strategic points with that same grass and just sort of make it not so a uniform colour. So like that, it's a little bit patchy. So over here I'm going to do similar-ish, and up there. So I'm just going to go round it and we'll be back in a minute. So that's it before. And here we go. I've added colour variation. It's a bit blotchy there. We've got some in there, a bit up there, some down here. It's hard to see, but it's nice having the varying lengths of grass. It doesn't look as well sort of kept as the other stuff did. I'm going to start putting some more scenic stuff down on the layout. Now what I've got is a pot of, they call them tufts, mega tub of tufts is what I've got. I've used a load of these before on my double O gauge layout, and I think some of these are going to be suitable for N gauge. So I got these off eBay, and I don't know, they're sort of sticky back, so you can just stick them wherever you want them. However, I tend to put them down with a bit of glue, sort of press them down with some tweezers. I'll show you me putting some down, but I'm just going to have a little play, show you a little bit of where we're going to put some. The flowery ones, I might leave those for sort of maybe around the station area, maybe, but we'll see. So I'm just going to have a little play with these, and I think I'll add a bit of different colour, maybe. But I want to put something sort of around this general area, and just, I don't know, scatter some different eye-catching things kicking around on the layout. So I'll just continue and then see what we get. Okay, so you get a multitude of things in this pot, and that's what is written on the tub. So hopefully that can help. I bought it years ago, so I think that if I gave you a link it wouldn't be for the same one, but there's plenty of people selling these. These are pretty handy because these could be like a dying hedge, and that adds a different, not green to your layout. All you do simply is they just peel off the sheet, and like I say, they're sticky back, but I don't think it's like a sticker as such. And all you do is I'm going to plonk this in that little hole there. Without putting it in the wrong place, hopefully. Bit tricky. It's nothing too fancy. Just a little bit here and a little bit there. And there's a variation of colour. So I've added one there, look. So already it just adds a different I don't know what you call it, like it just brings more colours out, it makes it more kind of real. So I'm just gonna carry on. What else have we got? Well, we've got these, but I think they're a little bit too dry looking for what I'm going for. We could try one of these. These are quite big. I'm not sure, maybe we could put this sort of over here, sort of behind the rock a little bit, so it looks a little bit like a shrub, just like growing maybe around the rock. I'm not 100% on this one. Although it, looks alright, doesn't it? It's not perfect, but the world isn't. Let's try another one, same one. Now I'm going to just put this under the bridge. Oh no, I'm not actually, because I've got to finish the bridge off, so I'm not going to put anything around the bridge yet. Probably shouldn't be doing this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go for whereabouts. This is all I do. I just randomly place stuff. I'm going to go for next to the rocks here. So I'm just kind of pushing it in that little gap. I think these are basically for where you'd struggle, in this case with N-gauge, because they're like 00 tufts. It's just where you'd struggle put in static grass, really. It's just something different. I'll tell you what we will do on top of this little hill over here. We'll put some stuff. What have we got? We've got one of these dry things. And this might look terrible, but we'll give it a go. Because it's all lush and green, you see. I mean, it's dry, so maybe it would be hiding in the corner somewhere dry-ish. I'm going to go for like over here, next to that rock. Okay, that doesn't look terrible, does it? You can make a row of hedges out of them. So it just adds a bit more pizzazz. I'm not sure about this one down here. That's catching my eye, is not looking great. I'm going to remove that. I'm not happy with it. Oh, I'm going to put it back on my little thing. I'm going to try one of these darker ones, like we just had. Sorry about the camera work. So that's the light falling down, don't worry about that. I'm going to go for one of these in that same place. So it's screaming, I'm a different colour. And straight away I think that actually looks better. Yeah, it could pass as a shrubbery or dead weed, tree, shrub. So I'm going to carry on doing this sort of thing. But actually what I will do is I'm going to start toying around with the station, because I think we should get a bit more superstructure going. It's dawning on me that we need to. So I just wanted to show you the shrubbery. It's very easy to add little bits and bobs with this lot. I think the flowery stuff can go sort of station end, but I've still got a tub of random stuff, so just pick and choose whatever you like, guys, and just sort of plonk it wherever you think it would work. Okay, so before I built the station house, it was imminent that I had to paint the supports for the bridge, because they have to simulate concrete, so hence the like creamy grey colour that we're putting on here. It's a good colour. It looks like concrete. You can add some streaks in it to weather it. I think we do that later on anyway, so I'll show you that. Next up was actually building the station house, as promised. Now, I built this out of balsa, so you're not going to see loads of this here, but I wanted it to look like it was made out of wood, just like a little shanty shed type thing. Now the roof beams were just simulating logs, really, so I just got some cocktail sticks, and that's what these are, just getting glued on. We'll add a roof later on to actually keep like the rain out and whatnot. And I was quite happy with how it turned out, to be honest with you. It fits quite nicely too. kind of accidentally went and cheated and bought some trees. I got these from the railway conductor near Northampton, if you're after anything like this. Made by Bush. They look, out of all of the ones, they've got so much stuff in there. N-gauge as well. It's amazing. Really like friendly and lovely people. So I might have cheated. I didn't buy a bridge, so we still got to build a bridge, and still got to finish that little station house. But I just wanted to update you in the video because this is what's going on. I managed to get out of work early and when I bought some trees. So let's crack on with that layout, shall we? Okay, so back at the house. So this is the low end over on the far side. Closer to you is where the foresty bit will kind of be. So I'm not going to be, I just don't want to put it too close to the track, but I want it over the stones. So I think somewhere about here is going to be nice. Just try not to drill your hand, because it would hurt. And then, I've never done trees before, by the way. It just makes sense to drill a hole for your tree trunk, because actually that's actually holding it up there. So before I start gluing, trees generally go straight up. Generally they fight gravity, so that's the rule of thumb on here. I don't want any wonky trees if I can help it. Yes. Okay, so 3 trees turned into that. Okay, so I'm going to tackle this bridge because it's one of those things that is needed, I think. Okay guys, I didn't film this because the phone ran out of space, but what I'm doing here is I'm using old track as the girders. Now, I was going to do it in plasticard, but that's just going to look a bit naff. So what I've done is I've been pre-cutting track. Now I say naff track, look, it's knackered. So I'm going to use this rail. What I tend to do is they're spaced a Lego or Mega Block apart on the bridge. And then another thing I was doing was, where are we? These ones in particular, you get your track, and I was pushing it to the end of the block, which would be these ones. So imagine this is the long rail, pushing it to the end of the block. Then what I was doing was with my pliers, just running it up to the block and cutting it. So that way you haven't got to measure anything, you're just getting good lengths. Now these other ones are diagonals. I'm not cleaning the ends of them either, they're just bird, but I'm going to cover them up with I think bits of paper probably in a minute. It all makes sense. I'll carry on doing this and I'll just show you what I am doing, and hopefully it'll make a bit more sense. But you know, generally I'm just making my life easy with what I'm doing. So you've got your uprights and they're all one length kind of, and then I've got diagonals, which in this case, because they're diagonal, they're actually slightly longer, and it's all super glued in. You could probably solder all this together, but it's going to be a mix of plasticard and these rails. so our little station house needs a roof, and I've literally just torn a bit of paper out of the bin. Now, I can't link you to this, but if you go on Thingiverse, there is this thing, and it's a corrugated, what would you call it, like sheet thing. You can put tin foil through it, and I've scaled it long and I've scaled it smaller so that it's more akin to N-gauge. You probably don't have to run this through this many times, but there we go, corrugated roof. So one piece or one sheet does plenty, doesn't it? I'm not being overly accurate with a lot of it. You really could measure that, couldn't you? And to be honest, you could stick it on in multiple sheets as well. But we'll go for like a little tin roof kind of thing, like this, I think. So that's going to be like a silver colour. In actual fact, I'm not going to paint it. I'm going to draw it. So, as a little Christmas present one year, I've got a load of these pens. And this is metallic silver. They do bronze and a gold. I think they probably do others. They're really quite good. So, just run it through our little mangler again. There we go, guys. Got a nice little roof now, haven't we? We have a roof. Do we need a chimney though? I don't know. Do we need a chimney? Nah. I can put some jumpers on, can't I? Definitely needs a window though. Okay, so in a previous video I showed this stuff, the crystal clear. That's what I'm going to do the window with on here. And much like that other video, I'm going to use a cocktail stick. And if you watch that other video, I'll go get the loco in a minute, I'll show you the shell. Because I didn't update you. I think that was like the last video I did before this one. Got there eventually. So that's it, we've got a window. We'll let that dry. So I think now's a good point to stop, because if I ask you guys, where would you put lights? Because I'm thinking maybe in the tunnels, maybe on the station, something like that. You know, it'd be interesting to see what you guys come up with, because I'm not entirely sure where to put lights. The station definitely, but do bridges have lights? I don't know. So maybe drop me a comment, let me know. Give me some ideas, guys. And I'll show you how to wire up lights. What we're going to do though is, I think it's fair to say we can have a little bit of fun with it, can't we? Run it round. So I have just cleaned the track. I'm using cotton buds and some isopropyl alcohol. Some people do it, some people don't. I've done it. That's how I'm doing it. That's how I've always done it. It gets the grease straight off. Sometimes that carbon buildup can help your locos run though, so just be wary. I'm going to run the Loco around for a little bit. But what I'm going to do differently here is we're not going to run it here on my bench. I'm going to take it outside and hopefully get some trees in the background so we've got more of a background. So let's go do that and I'll show you it running.